Hey guys, welcome back to another Surgical Tech Tips. Today we're going to be going over schedules in the OR. I want to talk about, full-time position versus a part-time position versus a per diem position. When I got into the medical field, when I started working at a hospital, I didn't really know what per diem meant. So let's just go through this video to kind of clarify the different type of shift work that you can be working. Now, just like any other job, you have full-time and part-time positions. The full-time position in a hospital, you have to work at least 36 hours per week to be considered full-time and to get your full benefits. A part-time position is obviously anything less than 36 hours, and normally, you are hired for a part-time position or you're hired for a full-time position. When you're talking about per diem, that's when things get a little bit different. I've talked previously about how, surgical techs and OR nurses, we have to take call in the OR just in case, for emergency surgeries and we have to come back into the OR. Per diem is kind of similar to that, whereas when we're on call, we get paid to be on call. When you are a per diem worker, you're not necessarily paid to be on per diem. You're basically just available. So think of it as, the hospital come Monday, they find out they have, 55 cases on the board. It's going to be a really busy day. So they may call you, Friday the week before and ask you if you're available to come work on Monday. Most of the time, people with per diem positions, they usually have per diem positions at a couple different hospitals, because that's just the type of work and the type of shift work that they like to do. They like to have, their schedule be available to them. If they need to take a day, they can take a day. If a hospital calls them up to come work, they can say no. They don't have to work. They don't have to come in. That's the difference between, a full-time, part-time position and a per diem position. You really have, a flexible schedule, and a schedule that is, kind of revolves around you and your schedule and what you can work. Now, as far as benefits go, benefits, obviously, full-time position is going to get full benefits. Part-time positions, it may be different in other hospitals. At our hospital, our part-time positions do not get benefits at all, and neither do the per diem positions. So that's something you got to think about. You may have to get your own insurance if that's the route you want to go. Now, the hourly wages you think would be the same, but they're actually not. Full-time and part-time positions are going to be, the same hourly wage that you would normally get depending on your experience, but a per diem position actually gets paid a slightly higher premium, basically because they're an on-call person. They're not getting paid call time to be on call, but they get a slightly higher salary because they're paid to be available, basically. So, to give you an example, let's say a tech that has 10 years experience and they're making $25 an hour or something. Let's say they're making $25 an hour. So that full-time tech and that part-time tech with 10 years experience are making $25 an hour. If a per diem tech with the same amount of experience comes in and starts working, that tech is going to get paid $32 an hour. It's usually, between $5 to $7 more an hour than a regular full-time or part-time tech. And they're paid that premium because they're paid to be available. So it's something to think about. Now, as far as the shifts go, between full-time, part-time, and per diem, they are all very similar, and you could be any of these types of shifts. There's, an 8-hour shift, a 10-hour shift, and a 12-hour shift. Those three shifts are, the shifts that I've seen in the hospital so far in my career. You could be working, let's say full-time. You're a full-time employee. You could be working 5 8-hour shifts. You could be working 4 10-hour shifts, or you could be working 3 12s, you know, doing 36 hours a week. 3 12s is pretty nice because you obviously get 2 days off, which would be pretty cool. Part-time, very similar. You could work any of those 8, 10, 12-hour shifts, but it's gonna add up to less than 36 hours. You know, you may just work 2 10s or 3 10s, or maybe just 2 12s or something like that, or, you know, a couple 8-hour shifts during the week. Whatever the hospital needs you to do, that'll be your part-time shift, as long as it's less than 36 hours. And per diem, it's however long they need you, basically. If they call you and ask you, you know, can you work from 6:30 to 5 today? That's going to be your shift. You're working a 10-hour shift that day. It's just what they ask of you. So when you're per diem, you really have to be flexible. Now I want to touch on the times that you'll be working at the hospital. Obviously, majority of surgery is done during the day. Emergencies happen during the day and in the middle of the night. But majority, 90% of the surgeries that you'll be doing are during the day. So a regular normal shift will be 6:30 a.m. to 3 p.m. That's an 8-hour shift. If you're working a 10-hour shift, you're going to be there 6:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. Those are the morning shifts, and majority of the OR crew is going to be working that shift. Depending on your hospital and depending on the needs of your hospital, you may have maybe a couple people come in the afternoons. We have at our hospital 2 teams that come in at 11, and they help with lunches, and they're there until 7 p.m. and they're there to, you know, help finish up cases that go past 3 or cases that go past 5 o'clock. There's another team that comes in at 3 p.m. and again, that team is there to finish up cases that are going late past 3 o'clock, and they're there to relieve all those, you know, 8-hour shift people. And those 3 o'clock people are there until 11 p.m. at night. And then we also have one more shift that starts at 7 p.m. and they're there until the wee hours of the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning when they're relieved. So the times of the OR differ, but majority of your OR staff and staffing is going to be, you know, during the morning and afternoon. So lastly, I just want to touch on the traveler position because it kind of coincides with the full-time, part-time, per diem scope here. The traveler position is, it's interesting. It's probably going to get its own full video, but I just want to touch on the subject here. They're paid a premium, very similar premium to like a per diem tech. They usually go through a traveling agency. Maybe a tech or a nurse might sign on with a traveling agency, and that agent will assign you to hospitals across the country. Really, you could be traveling the country as a traveler. Pay obviously varies all across the country, as you've seen previously in like my salary video and stuff like that. But for the most part, they are paid a premium higher than other techs and nurses at the hospital they're going to be going to. Simply because the fact that they're there, they have experience, and they can basically go right in to the OR and start working immediately, because those hospitals that need travelers are in desperate need of people, and they're willing to pay for it. Now, they don't give you benefits, so you'll have to carry your own health insurance and cover all your own benefits. But there, again, are pluses, very similar to the per diem position, where you can kind of make your own schedule. You know, you may have a travel position for 13 weeks up in Minnesota somewhere, making $40 an hour, and then after those 13 weeks are done, they may want to extend it for a little bit, another 13 weeks, and you may be there for another 13 weeks. After that, you may go back home and maybe you have a week off until your agent finds another position for you. We'll go more into that if I can contact like an actual traveling agency and maybe talk to them more about it, maybe in like an interview type video. But the traveling position is it's interesting in and of itself, and it deserves its own video. Alright guys, thanks for watching. I hope this gave you some insight into, the different full-time, part-time, per diem, and traveler type positions that are available out there. Maybe it can kind of help you plan out your future if you're a student into what type of position you might want to try and get out there in the hospital and in the OR after you graduate. And I'll see you again. Bye.